I think I may have found the worst FHR property. Now, let me ask you a question. What do you expect when you book an FHR property or a fine hotels and resort? You expect it to be one of the best. You may not have the best hotel rooms. Some of them are a little bit more classic, a little bit more rundown. But the number one thing that you expect from an FHR booking is the best customer service and the best hotel experience you have ever had before. But my stay at the Pendry in Washington, D.C. did not meet those expectations. But let me explain why I even booked it in the first place. So this hotel is located in one of my favorite places in DC, the Wharf. So the location played a really big part on why I wanted to stay at this hotel. The second reason was because this hotel was really new. And for the third and final reason is because it had a really modern aesthetic to it. And I really had high hopes for this hotel too, because 4 days before my actual hotel stay, the concierge personally called me and asked if there was any activities they could schedule, any recommendations they could do, any occasions, and anything that they could help with. Pretty cool. That's the service that I'm expecting from an FHR property. I was really excited, and even more excited because I was able to score a 1-bedroom suite upgrade before even checking in. So I was really pumped. It was one of the highlights that I was expecting during this trip. But then it comes to the day of checking in. I checked in on Sunday at 1 p.m, closer to 2 p.m. It was about like 1:45, and it was a pretty weird experience. Like, their lobby area is really cool, but it's like really tiny. I don't know why. I've never been to an FHR property that didn't have like a massive hotel lobby, or at least like a really cool looking unique one. And even for the cool looking unique ones, it's not that small. There was 3 or 4 groups trying to check in the same time as me, but there was only one front desk person, even though they had 2 desks, which, is fine. I understand that, maybe the second person went on a break. But finally, someone showed up to the second desk. It was my turn to check in. And when I did check in, I felt like it was really rushed. So he was just trying to move me through the process, which, like I said, it was crowded in the lobby. I completely understand. But it just seemed like it was way too fast. While trying to check in, the front desk person alerted us and said that your hotel room isn't necessarily ready. Now I understand one of the benefits of FHR is that you can have early check-in at 12 p.m. However, it does have parenthesized that it's not guaranteed. And especially since I was really excited for the 1-bedroom suite upgrade, I was willing to forego that benefit and just wait. But he kind of ignored me and he continues scrolling around on his little laptop. But he finally got us into a room and he actually said it was upgraded. I'm like, an upgrade? An upgrade over a 1-bedroom suite? Now, I'm really excited for this. And then the front desk person gave us our keys and just kind of stared at us for a bit. And then they looked at their screen and they're like, oh, you guys booked this under FHR. And then they turned around and grabbed the FHR benefit paper and went over all the benefits. Everything that, I was kind of expecting. It was a little bit strange just, having the eye contact for a little bit, but, it wasn't too bad. But then this is where it got a little bit worrying. So I went ahead and asked the front desk person, hey, could we get like a hotel amenities delivered up to our room? Maybe like, toothbrushes, toothpaste, some slippers. And then he just looked back at me and said, yeah, that's completely fine. Just shoot us a text in the text messages and we'll have that delivered right up to you. And I'm like, that's a little bit strange, because what I'm expecting from other FHR stays that I've stayed at in the past, when I went ahead and asked the front desk person, they're like, sure, we'll have that sent right up to you. And at this point, the hotel lobby wasn't crowded, so I didn't understand why he couldn't just put in the request in for me. But whatever, we were all checked in and ready to see the room. This is where it kind of went downhill. So the room was on the 11th floor. It was pretty high up, one of the top floors of the hotel. Pretty excited. However, when we went into the room, we were surprised to find out it was not a 1-bedroom suite that we were promised the day before. I was kind of upset with the downgrade, but I knew I wasn't entitled to the upgrade. But there was another problem with this room. In one of the cabinets, there was just a pizza box in there. And I understand that mistakes are made, but I was kind of questioning the cleanliness of this hotel. So I went down to the front desk and reported the pizza box and asked them to remove it. And they were really apologetic, but maybe because I had higher expectations, I was kind of hoping for them to place me into a different room. But no, that wasn't the case. They had me in the same room and just promised that someone would come and collect the pizza box. At this point, I was already running late. I promised to meet a friend at around around 2 to 2:30. So I ordered a lift and left the hotel. And then just after dwelling on it a little bit, I was just thinking, I at least want to change to another room. Plus also, I know I'm not entitled to it, but they did say that they were going to upgrade me to a 1-bedroom suite. So after meeting up with my friend, I sent him a text. I wanted to ask, I believe yesterday I was upgraded to a 1-bedroom suite. However, I don't believe that is the room I am checked into currently. And then they came back actually a little bit fighting with me and saying that we did give you an upgrade using the Fine Hotels and Resort program. And then strangely, they came back, if you want a 1-bedroom suite, you're going to have to pay for it. Pretty interesting because that's not what they said yesterday. And at this point, I was kind of surprised that they didn't check their message history because it was only yesterday that they promised me this hotel upgrade. So I decided I would help them a little bit. And I directly copied and pasted what they told me yesterday. Plus also I added in that there was a pizza box in my room. And what they came back with was kind of comical. As soon as they sent the message, they also gave me a call at the same time. And basically on that call, they said they had 2 guests with the same last name as me. Okay, not sure if I believe them, but it's also not really that good of an excuse because multiple people have the same last names. Can you imagine someone with the last name Smith checking into this hotel?
In the meantime, hang out at the Waldorf, the classy.
Even crazier too, after going back to the hotel and picking up the new keys, the same person who checked me in said that the person with the same last name as me was going to stay next month and somehow they got us both confused. Either way, they were able to get us to a 1-bedroom suite like they promised with a slight partial river view. It wasn't as high as the 11th floor, but it was on the 6th floor.
So we'll see how the rest of this day works out.
But here's the interesting thing. We weren't the only ones that had problems. So while we were checking in to get our new keys, there was 2 other people at the front desk. And they were complaining that their room that they got checked in, the water doesn't work and they didn't have an ice bucket and it was slightly dirty. Seeing a common theme. The 2 other people was kind of more extreme than me. They were offered a 1-bedroom suite upgrade completely for free, but for some reason they wanted the presidential suite.
So it's our presidential.
Now I think that's a little bit too far, but I guess more power to them. But the cheapness didn't really stop there. Within our suite room, we didn't get too much of a chance to check out our 1-bedroom. We just spent maybe like 2 minutes in there. But since we were staying most of the night in the suite, we noticed a couple different things. So like I said, this hotel isn't that old. It's maybe 1 to 2 years old. You wouldn't expect it to have any problems, right? For some reason, the sink handle, it's supposed to be like perpendicular or at least, aligning with each other. One handle was pushed all the way back, kind of angled really funky. And there was a bunch of things within the hotel room that I felt like it was kind of like IKEA where everything looked really nice, but the quality isn't quite there. So kind of strange for an FHR property. Now I have to remind you, this hotel costed me $400, closer to $500. It was more like $475. So it wasn't exactly cheap. Another weird thing was that they had an off-branded Nespresso. It looked like an espresso machine, looked like Nespresso pods, but it was a different brand, which I'm completely fine with as long as it, tastes nice, right? So personally, I'm not a coffee drinker, but my wife is, and she knows good coffee when she tastes it. So the coffee pods were not good. My wife did not like them. Usually when me and my wife go to hotels, we like to take the extra coffees and teas back home. I asked her if she wanted to take the coffees and she did not want to even take them back. She thought it was a waste of space to put in our carry-on bag. So it has to be pretty bad. But I will say though, some of the nice things in the room was the mattress actually was pretty comfortable and the shower pressure was actually pretty nice as long as it's working, of course. And the other services were pretty neat. So they had a turn down service and someone came in and basically fluffed up the bed, just make sure that everything was comfortable, all the trash was taken out. They even gave us a little thing and it says that they left you a little snack, which they did. They gave us macarons, and they were a nice surprise. Also in the room, I know it's a really small detail, but a lot of luxury hotels will give you really, really nice pens. But for the Pendry, they give you a sharpened pencil. Like I said, it's not bad, but it's just the expectation of an FHR property, and it's not necessarily the cheapest FHR property. Instead, they kept the heavy pens at the front desk, so they did have them, but they just weren't giving them out in the rooms. Also, the hotel credits was kind of restrictive at the Pendry, so many FHR properties kind of let you do a free-for-all. You can use it on a lot of things. But the Pendry says specifically that the amenity credit that you get at this hotel, you cannot use it on valet parking, which was kind of strange to me. Plus the breakfast credit, you cannot use it on in-room dining. I've never been to an FHR property that doesn't let you do in-room dining, but it is what it is. Also, the dinner was kind of disappointing at this hotel. So on the top of the hotel was the Moonraker, and you would think that's the regular restaurant. And then on the bottom floor, there was a bar. Now, if I had to ask you which one would sell the real food, you would think that the one on top, the one that's not a bar. No, it was completely the opposite. So the downstairs bar actually sold the real food, and the upstairs mostly sold drinks and small bites. I know it was bad planning on my part. I should have checked the menu, but it was just an assumption that that would be the real restaurant. After looking at the menu wasn't too interesting. Me and my wife just decided to, screw it. We're gonna go downstairs and check out the Gordon Ramsay restaurant, the fish and chips. And I think that was the best decision of the night. As for breakfast, it was also located at the Moonraker restaurant. However, their breakfast menu and their service was actually quite better this time. And for breakfast, we were given a $70 credit, so $35 per person. And it was enough to cover for 2 entrees and 2 drinks. So not too bad. And the checkout was pretty normal. We were guaranteed that 4 p.m. late checkout. However, we did check out a little bit early at 3:30. The breakfast credit was applied to the bill, and for the amenity credit, we decided to use it at the spa. Not for any massage services or anything like that. We actually just went to the spa and grabbed some products that they had laying around in the front. And after checking out, we also decided to use one last benefit of this hotel. So this hotel, the Pendry, does have complimentary car services. All you have to do is ask the front desk, or you can just go ahead and text the hotel, and they'll tell you if the car is available and if they can take you to where you're needing to go. And the driver was really cool. I loved talking to him. He carried all our stuff into the trunk of the car. The car that he used to drive us around was some sort of Cadillac. It was really big. It was very comfortable. It was awesome.
What's the Biggie Smalls?
I want some. Let's get some. Can we get juicy?
Can we get what?
Juicy Biggie Smalls?
Right. Well, this is close to it.
Oh, it's close. Yeah.
Now, I just want to be clear, I'm not saying that this is the worst hotel, in the world. I'm just saying, based on my past FHR experiences, it definitely wasn't the expectation that I've come to expect from a fine hotels and resort. I don't think it's worth $500 a night on the cheapest night that you can book it, because on other nights it can get a lot more expensive, and I don't think it's worth the money staying here. I feel like it's kind of like the experience if you were saving up your money to buy a Mercedes-Benz, but only after you bought the Mercedes-Benz that you realized that it was just a Toyota in a Mercedes-Benz costume. Like, Toyota isn't bad, it's not a Kia, but also it's not a Mercedes-Benz, what you paid for. So I'm not necessarily saying that the Pendry is the same as staying at a motel. No, definitely not. I do think that it's still nice. But yeah, my stay at the Pendry was kind of a mess. 2 stars.